concept. Tonight.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, okay. So we'll kind of run through those four. A couple of them are pretty easy. And then we'll bring you all in at 8:15 for the work session. Hi, guys.
Hey.
So I don't know that you're on for this morning's work session.
Oh, I was gonna say, okay, my fault.
I mean, you're more than welcome to join us, but we were not prepared to discuss anything at the work session with you guys.
Okay.
Unless there's something specific that needs to be discussed. You're more than welcome to join us. It's a public meeting at this point, but we're gonna run through the remainder of our agenda and. You guys are on for Thursday night with the tree clearing.
Right, yep, yeah, just trying to make sure
Is it
we're
right in there
ready.
for us to listen to comments? Be prepared to, in case somebody has things we need to answer on Thursday, or?
I think at this point, what we've discussed is we appreciate the parking studies that are in there. I don't know if you've had a final comment letter on the parking studies. Those are separate from the tree clearing itself, but it proves that we need, you know, that we can viably park the site and make it a true project at that point.
Right.
We talked about the tree limitations. And what we'll talk about is kind of our expectations for if you are tree clearing, what our expectations for the clearing is. In terms of maintaining the site, there's, you know, no disturbance or anything like that. So at this point, unless we have any further discussion of it, we'll talk about it Thursday night and we'll look to get that tree clearing permit set. I think you guys have provided us with the updated drawings that we've asked for. You've corrected grading and you've got notations and stuff on there, so. That will be kind of the path that we go.
Okay, that's great, yeah, just wanna make sure we're
Yep,
here,
so
here to
Yep,
answer
I just-
questions if we need it.
didn't want you to expect a work session right now, because we got a very, very full agenda, but you are on the agenda for Thursday evening.
Okay, that's what,
We're all up and out of that, so.
All right, good.
All right, thank you for the moment.
Yep.
appreciate it, thanks.
Everybody.
The first concept coming in is Underground Gear Lab. This is up off, it's on Airways Park, which is off Fly Road. It's a kind of tucked into the back. Up there, it's an existing microbrewery that they're looking to expand the tasting room and outside deck. There is somebody waiting. Just gotta keep an eye on. Outside, we're gonna give each of the applicants for concept about 10 minutes in there. With about 5 minutes of our time for comment. Hopefully it doesn't take that long. We'll kind of push them along, but we've got to afford them that. The biggest issue on there is just site layout. It is a fairly tight site. I don't know how they're necessarily gonna park this. So they'll need to show parking counts. They'll need to show traffic and pedestrian movement. You know, planting. I mean, really, we did not get a whole lot from them. If people have looked at it, it is a couple of what I think is probably SketchUp models and an old survey. So this truly is a concept. We want to hear them out. You know, give them any initial feedback and ask them to put together a full package for review. Luck Grove, which is Olivia Drive. It is simply 2 EV chargers. It's pretty straightforward. We'll hear out their concept, but that's one that at the next A-Track meeting, which is in 2 weeks, this is one of those kind of exceptions to the track. It's very simple and minimal and straightforward. We'd actually look to get them for preliminary final at the next meeting. Star Canine will be another kind of quick one at a point. I mean, this is just a change of use. So Jamie, will they need a recommendation to ZBA to get a change of use? Or is that only for?
No, change of use change of use is us, right?
Right.
So, or, you know, it's at the department, they're like, it's a change of use, it has to come for planning board approval, as long as it's an approved use, there's no ZBA.
Right.
Yes, and I mean, it just gives us an opportunity to look at the existing site plan and see if there's anything we want to clean up or modify.
I mean, from drive-by and aerial, the site plan kind of looked fairly clean. This is a dog training facility, it's not a kennel. They don't have any fenced area around the perimeter, I don't think, it's all internal. So there's no outside activity, it's just all external in there.
External.
So that should be an easy one. The other
And it's
concept coming in-
industrial, even if it, you know, it's a weird thing, I mean, we don't have anything that specifically talks about dog training, so I think we're gonna call it a kennel. Right?
Yeah, I mean,
It's-
they did say in their application, limited kenneling during classes. But there's no overnight kenneling, there's no long-term kenneling, it's just, it's daily while they're training.
Either way, it's industrial, so.
Yeah, and the last one that we'll kind of hear concept on is Taco Bell. This is the Camellas restaurant. Right on the corner there, if you recall, this was at one point gonna be that mixed use site. It's right kind of behind Dunn Tire next to the hotel.
Can
The
we
restaurant right
pull
on the
that up? We have 2 minutes before our 8:15, so everyone can take a look at that.
Yep. Good idea. So in order to make this work, they need two facilities on the site, so.
They're saying in order to make it work for them financially.
Yes. And I think, you know, Mark had some current concerns about queuing and, you know, what goes on at Taco Bell, and there you go. And I believe that there is some sort of access between the Holiday Inn and this site. If you go out there, I think there's like a fire gate.
I do remember that now, that was something that we had kind of insisted upon. But Mark, I mean, straight up, this does not meet the minimum queuing requirements of our code. Correct?
It didn't appear to. I mean, we took a quick look at it the other day when we were here, and yeah, I mean, I haven't gone through and, you know, measured it out, but it certainly doesn't look like it. I think they need 6 between the menu board. Well, six before the menu board, and then 4 between the menu board and the pickup window. And that site's not going to do that.
That doesn't do that now.
Right.
And that's the minimum.
That's the minimum, yes.
I suggest that maybe if you're traveling down Erie Boulevard, check out the Taco Bell that is in that DeWitt Plaza. You can't see it very well, but you can see the queuing.
Yeah, it's dropped down in on DeWitt Plaza.
So just an FYI, I mean, we've been trying to go a different direction, right? We've been trying to bring these into concept in front of the whole board. Once we get something like this in the department. However, this one, Joe Chiarenta and Kerry Mannion were contacted by Dave Morocco, and Dave wanted to come in, so there was a quick meeting with Dave Morocco, and the person that wants to develop and purchase it, Dave, was Mike McCracken. So there was limited discussion, but it was just nodding my head and saying, hey, you know, have to get you on front of the board, so the whole board.
And they say they need that second structure that's ghosted in there to make this work
Yeah.
for them.
Yeah, that's what McCracken said, yes.
Yeah.
But I said, you know, you're gonna have to come, and you're gonna have, right, that's a pretty big issue. You're gonna have to come in and discuss that, you know, is it another fast food? I mean, you know, I don't know what
Yeah.
it is, right? But it definitely strongly comes into play with whatever happens at the site.
In addition to the site, there's also access issues like the one that goes out to Enterprise. Like on the curve there, I think that drive's not gonna.
That's not gonna work. Yeah. Yeah.
There's the right in, right out onto Bridge Street, which it's gotta be clearly marked, you know, truly right in, right out, so we don't have people trying to cut across you know, 4 lanes of traffic while eating a Chiquita taquito or whatever they are. You know, so I think
Also-
there's a lot of access issues onto the site.
Also, I'm not aware of a circumstance where the queuing is on the side where there's parking on both sides of the drive aisle.
Yeah, we've not wanted to look at, that does not count as part of the queuing. Cause if you get a backup and somebody's trying to get out of their parking spot.
Yep.
Yeah, there's gotta be a clear definition of where the queuing line starts, which is.
And also
after
that
the parking.
And even that last space, as you turn in and go to the right, has no backup zone to exit back out again. Cause you're backing right up into the queue. Yeah, the one right down there, the
Yeah,
bottom
bottom
left. Yeah,
So,
that doesn't even count.
so we'll have them in on Thursday to. Have them run through the plan. We can look to try and give them some initial comments and feedback. And then I guess see where it goes from there. Okay. So those are the 4 projects that we have in front of us for concept on Thursday night. If there are no other questions on any of those, let's talk U-Haul. Do we have U-Haul with us?
We are here. I think Brett is waiting to be let in, as well as Dave Colgrove, our architect, if they're on the waiting list.
Dave's in.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm here.
okay, hey Dave.
Hey.
Brett, are you on yet? He just texted me and said it was just, he was waiting to be let in.
Scroll with it up.
Yeah, there wasn't anybody there, so I was checking the bottom. Don't see anybody waiting.
And stop share and see if it. And it doesn't appear to be anybody in the waiting room.
Okay, let me just. I'm telling him just to try again, but we'll get we can get started here. I'll start sharing screen. So a couple things just to get started. First of all, we obviously just got your review comments last night, so haven't really had much of any time to fully dive into them, but we've gone through them here. Obviously, our drawings don't reflect any of those changes, so we'll the intention.
Yeah, I think what we can do is just have a conversation about those so that we can get you guys prepared for the next meeting.
Which
That's,
should-
I think,
And are we're on the 21st schedule at this point?
28.
I don't know. At the last work session, we were slated to be on the 21st, so I don't know if
There
that's
is no meeting on the 21st. I probably gave you the wrong date. It's the 28th.
okay. All right.
So we have a meeting this Thursday, the 14th, and then again on the 28th.
Okay.
So you will be on for the 28th. So that's why we wanted to get you here today to kind of run through the comments. Get everybody on the same page, have you get an updated package into the office. So that we can. Do all of our paperwork and get everything ready to go so that we can get you guys out of here on the 28th.
Okay. I'm just gonna try to host. It says host disabled participant screen sharing. Can you give me
Yep.
control?
I cancel. Little up arrow next to screen share. Give it another whirl.
No. Okay, so. Do you see the site plan?
Yep.
Okay, I don't know, I didn't have the box around it. So, all right, so going through your comments here, I guess we'll go top to bottom and kind of comment from there. The comment of there should be a note on the site plan building elevation that references prior approvals. I guess my question here on the prior approvals comment would be that if this is considered a new submission, comments of like parking and such, I mean, whether there was a previous approved amount of parking prior, if we are still in compliance with current parking codes with the new submission, does what was prior approved really matter? In as regards to parking, I guess.
It does in the sense that you're not allowed, I mean, I think we worked through all of the display parking in the front yard. I don't think you're allowed to have display parking, right?
Well, right, Jamie, just jump in where you want, but this is an amended site plan, so we need the basis of the original submission on the map that we're looking at, so that the board knows what is being amended and what is remaining the same. Is that?
Well, right, and I think the other thing is, we want to have a final map, and this causes great confusion in the department. So everything that is approved, we want a new map, not just like, hey, here's the changes, because it gets confusing. So we just want a final map
Okay,
with
so
everything on it.
I guess then I guess the plan that we're looking at would be considered what we'd like to submit as a final map, which indicates that there was parking here before. We understand that was kind of the biggest topic before, was just what parking spaces we lost here, where the storage units are proposed to go. And also an indication that this was currently being used as display parking on this concrete island. And then we did.
Excuse me, I don't mean to interrupt him.
Yep.
Just trying to cut to the chase. Leah, can you pull up that the prior map so we can see what it looks like? So there's an understanding of what we need submitted, and it's in that package. It's in the portal now. Anne had dragged it over.
The prior approval was the 3 display on the island and the 8 in the front that's indicated on this map.
But the actual site plan drawing.
Correct.
So
Leah, do you have that?
I'm looking right now.
and Brett, you've got that? Do you have that in your files?
Yeah, somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brett, if you have it, pull that up.
I don't know that he has it at his fingertips. That's the thing.
Leah, it's in the portal and it's labeled 2017.
Sorry, I'm just having a little trouble with the mouse here.
You can look. Go to the U-Haul folder. So Lucas. Check.
Okay, can you see that?
Not yet.
Okay.
Oh, I think because we've got his screen sharing up.
Yeah, I mean, if I can stop sharing if you need me to. I'll stop sharing so you can,
Thanks.
you got it there. Okay.
Let us know when you can see the drawing side. It's got phase 2 at the top of it.
Yeah, we see them.
Jamie, you can jump in wherever, but I mean, Jamie and I sat down and went over this. There's a lot going on in this site.
There is one that says site plan or lot plan in there.
Yeah, because this is the existing conditions.
There it is.
There we go. That's it.
I think if you scroll
Right.
down and look at the architectural too. That was the other thing that was, I think the architectural thing, keep going, but yeah. Did it?
That's the removal of the blacktop with the trees and everything.
So yeah, I think we wanna have a reference on that drawing so that when somebody pulls up that drawing, they can look at it and understand what the baseline was. So the reference back to this approval, and then we can identify in your current submission what any of those changes are from this original approval.
That was what we did with the parking spaces, is what the biggest thing was at the last workshop, was that you needed us to have those parking spaces labeled on here. And the calculation on what we needed per space, per employee.
How many required spaces are on this drawing right here?
It is
You had, it was, the chart was
required
right.
is 56 and proposed is 64.
62, yeah.
Current-
On our current submission is the 56 required, 62 proposed, but I think on right here you had it.
Well, you got the two ADAs. 56 and 64 because of the two ADAs.
So, yeah, so the prior submission, according to this chart anyways, that we're looking at on the screen is 36 and 60. 36 was code back then, I guess. And 64 was provided. We've basically knocked 2 off, so we're down to 62, but still above the required. I don't know why the required was so low back then, but
I don't know what. I think it was based upon the various uses, right? So 2 per employee for warehouse. Then we had the square footage and for retail.
Maybe there's no additional customer parking.
Right. So now the analysis, I guess, is how do we have the same amount of warehouse, the same amount of retail?
Yes.
Actually, there's additional warehouse because of this new storage unit, right?
yeah, I mean, that's, yes, if you want to account for that, yeah, there's an extra.
I mean,
few
is
square
it
feet on that.
warehouse, or I guess it's self-storage.
Right.
It's 600 square feet.
So I guess my question is they're allowed to put 28 U-Haul vehicles, not employee owned, or, yeah, 28 vehicles scattered through the site, right, to make their 64?
Is our self-storage is that a warehouse count? I guess I'll have to look at that.
Yeah, I'd wanna look at that. I mean, I don't know, I don't think that you have employees
Warehouse
that
count, question mark. That
are
was-
associated with those.
I don't think self-storage is, I'm not sure that self-storage is warehouse. Because it's really a retail situation.
I think, so the bottom line is you're over, with the required parking versus provided parking, you're over by 6 spots right now,
Yep,
Correct.
current plan.
right.
So I don't think the 600 feet is gonna impact that. You're pushing the threshold on that one, but I don't think it's going to necessarily impact that parking count. And if I recall correctly, there's no variances given for parking or anything on this site. There's no encumbrances on that, right?
Correct.
Not that we saw. So I think all we'd ask is that there's at least a note on the new drawing referencing back to this prior approval. Because to Doug's point, this is an amended site plan.
So if we,
So
Would you
under-
zoom out
the
on
the
this?
note could just then be restating this parking block here, this zoning regulation.
It's not just for parking. It's for its entirety. So just referencing back to the approvals from 2017.
So I guess in theory, referencing back this entire set of drawings of this site plan, we could throw a sheet in that states this is its own sheet that would indicate it as a prior approval sheet, and then it's in the set. Is that,
I had thought that, again, and I leave this to planning board, that we're saying, take this drawing and put the new on it. Like, and that's what's being sort of reapproved.
well, that's all well and good, but I don't even know if this file is accessible to draw over. Is one thing, because we're working with I think, Brett, are we working with a different site engineer than what was used back then?
Yes, Marathon Engineering out of Ithaca does all our work.
Yeah.
I see.
So that's why we had it resurveyed, and that survey was given to these new engineers to make the adjustments on this plan of what we were proposing. So I mean, we could easily go in here and just say, you know, the display parking of 4 was existing, or make it a note as prior approval in parentheses or something like that. I mean, that would talk about parking. But I think that really a reference back to the original approval, just, I'm just generally commenting here, would have to come within the department to reference back to the drawings that are on file, like we've just done right now, to kind of cross-reference. We can put as much, you know, a few more notes on here to indicate as existing or prior approval, but
I mean, I think that would work. Nate, are you okay with that?
Yeah, I think that's fine.
Yeah, keep, you know, the notes on of what's existing for the prior approval would be good to have on here.
okay. If at some point someone, I don't know if Leah or yeah, I guess if I don't know who handles document, but if someone might be able to email this set of plans that you got up on the screen back to us, just so we make sure we have the same copy that you guys have in your files.
Yeah, that can be done.
Okay. All right, so I guess we'll continue down this list here just to review here. So on the temporary storage units along the north property line need to remain within a clearly defined area. You had made the recommendation of just basically striping around the 10 by 60 box. Which
Can we
I think-
reshare the other, please? The new plan? Thank you.
Yeah, the intent with that comment is that if you recall, we were concerned about those units being too close to the property line right now.
Yep.
And we want to make sure that if our code enforcement officer is able to stop out and those units have shifted back beyond that location, we can tell you guys to pull them back forward, or they shouldn't shift out of whatever is designed.
Right, and I think in reality, I think we had it noted here somewhere, is the side yard setback is actually 12 feet, I believe. So if at all possible, we could shift them back a little bit more, just so that they're tucked back a little bit more, and then we can put the stripe, and I don't know, we could just use some paint hatching to just kind of.
And that's fine, that's kind of coupled with the vehicular movement comment in there. You know, there's concern that if these are self-storage units and I pull my F-350 in with a giant trailer full of stuff that I want to put in one of it, how am I gonna park in front of these and not impede that drive aisle traffic when somebody's trying to drive their 28-foot truck back to drop it off?
Yeah. All right,
So-
well, we'll I guess we can consult with our site engineer about maybe some hatching some striping changes that might reflect that.
Yeah, and that's fine. So just showing some of that vehicular movement, how that's gonna be addressed.
Which
And
would
if
be
the-
the,
oh, go ahead.
the ability to move those back just a couple more feet to get us just at the, I believe, the 12-foot mark. We had it noted here somewhere, so I just can't put my finger on it, but I'm pretty sure we saw side yard setback was 12 feet.
Is that entrance to the
Total.
north one way in?
No, I'm
Okay.
pretty
Well,
sure.
you have parking stalls that are in the display parking that are pointed the wrong direction if it is. Cause you have one way down to the west. It's all one
That-
way.
That's
No,
just for
it's-
the
it's
equipment
two-way.
return.
Yeah.
Those just indication for arrows for the equipment rental returns.
Okay.
back to
This
the
here,
gate.
you're talking this drive lane
Yeah,
here?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's just, yeah, as he said, rental returns, which directs them to the canopy for drop off.
Okay.
Where is the access? What do people do to access those storage containers?
These 10 by 30s,
Yes,
Brett, you can comment on that?
Right in the south side of those buildings right there,
Right, so they'll park
in
most
there.
likely parallel with this, so
Yes.
this is where we might, if we can push these back a little bit, we might just have to hatch that out as no parking or no drive lane or parking only, whatever we can call it.
Staging area or unloading area.
Right,
nobody comes in the other side, that back side?
over here,
To the north side of the units, Jamie?
Right,
Yeah, no, that's,
no,
there's a little
Granite
wall
curtain.
in there, right?
there's a whole
Sure.
island, yeah, there's a whole island, curved island through here.
Landscaping and curbed.
Yeah,
so
Looks
they
pretty
only
nice.
access them from the parking lot side.
Right,
yeah. Yeah, and they're only one-sided units with little like roll-up garage doors on them.
So does that look feasible if they push them back and,
I
Have a
think
little-
that's fine. I think they just
Okay.
need to show us that there's a clearly defined area that these are going to live and remain. And then stripe off that space so that, you know, it is clearly noted where somebody is able to park so that they don't park their car in the middle of the drive aisle while they're trying to unload all their stuff.
right, understood. Okay. All right, so moving into building. The building sections at new building elements, I assume you're just looking for a cross section through the facade component of this?
Yeah, so, you know, review the checklist items.
Yep. You say review the checklist items, is there a checklist in the code?
Yeah, it's on the website, right?
The code, yes,
Or the checklist,
site plan checklist,
yeah.
yes.
Dave.
yes.
Dave Colgrove, are you familiar with that checklist?
I'll find it. We're just talking about the additions, the canopy, the facade additions,
The
correct?
facade, yeah.
Yeah.
We have the
Um,
structural drawing from the engineer, so we can just kind of couple that with an architectural section.
Yep, yeah, I mean, we wanna understand kind of where the new is in relation to the existing parapets, what the materials are, what the constructability is. You know, we're looking for an understanding of what the building envelope is gonna look like in cross section.
Sure. All right,
Colors is the next one,
what's that?
the colors is the next one.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's the biggest thing here with colors. You know, I guess some of these might be workable. Others are part of their branding scheme. And it was, I mean, I guess originally it was all August Moon to begin with, so this was a way of kind of making it not look like such a bland brown building. So I don't know. I guess we'll communicate amongst U-Haul on that topic and just see what their willing to do, willing to sacrifice, if anything, and come up with some ideas, I guess.
I mean, our design guidelines clearly state, you know, 3 or fewer materials, colors, so there's a
Yeah.
lot going on here.
Yeah, I mean, we see the note of it's encouraged, but I didn't know if it was required.
Well,
And-
strongly encouraged, let's say.
Yeah,
With the,
So
we're.
I would talk to U-Haul and let them know that, you know, we're looking for, you know, beautiful, simple color schemes. You know, to have that many materials on the building and that many colors on the building is not likely going to progress very far.
okay, all right.
One thing you guys annotated is the cast stone on the main entrance. I would love to paint that so it matches some type of color. It's probably the worst part of the building at this point because we did not paint it. But I was under the indication that the town of DeWitt liked that historical look
Yes.
from the last site plan.
Yeah, I don't think you need to paint it. I think the reason for the color notes was just to demonstrate 13 different colors on the building. Or
Because
materials.
I would love to paint that to match the building.
I don't know that, I mean, I'll defer to the board here, but I think maintaining that cast stone corner with the windows, I don't know that we necessarily would look favorably on painting that, but
Is that yellowish color?
no, it's if you can zoom in on that end right there, it's that cast stone
It's this
portion
center
of the building
Oh,
right here.
just that part, because the other two parts have already been painted.
Right,
Yeah,
So
okay,
the other side has a identical piece to it.
right.
At this point, with the mildew that's just embedded into the pores of that concrete, we've pressure washed that thing 3 or 4 different times with acid and whatnot, and have not been able to get the mildew out of there. I know it's an old building, but
are there any additional thoughts from the board?
I do want to make sure that the applicant has a good direction on this architectural. That seems to be a main issue.
Yeah, and I think, you know, as far as the colors, we've got your comments, and on that topic, I think we'll go back to U-Haul and see if there's anything that can be adjusted in their color schemes to make this meet or get close to, at least, your requirements. Little things that I see like this, you know, this door over here that was black, we could propose that be painted to match these brown doors or blended in with the siding. Those are some of the things that we can talk
If
to
you look at, and maybe the doors, the 5 doors to the left right there have been changed. But I did a, you know, virtual drive-by, and the 2 smaller doors I think are black, and then the other ones are brown. There's 2 different colors on those doors.
These 5 doors have been replaced in full to all match. So
Okay.
the drive-by is not up to date.
Yeah, no, I figured, I was just noting that,
Yeah.
you know, there was a black door all the way in the back, and then these were in the front. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then there was a note about just how I'm on this, the moving supplies and hitches. That was just an existing sign that puts back. It says to be painted, but quite frankly, Brett, does that sign need to be painted, or is that just a factory finish? I don't know if that was just a typo on our part.
no, it goes to white to stand out on the brown because of the black with the dark brown won't show. That's all.
All right, so we'll just note that that's painted white then.
So we'll put the signage discussion aside for a second, keep going through the rest of these, and we'll circle back to.
So, okay, so colors just on every elevation, let's just see here, so. Yes, I guess, the decorative, let's see here. So signage, I guess we jump into signage at that point. So you had one block about colors. Is there anything further on the colors that needs to
No,
be?
just
Yeah. On the
simplify
next
them,
page.
one color scheme for the building, prefer to see 2 or 3 materials and colors. Same way that we've looked at it for all the buildings across the town. This has a lot going on.
Okay. And I think part of this signage was and it falls in the color here with the Sierra Sunset decorative doors. I don't know, there was a note about it and the signage side, if they're decorative, remove them if they're just an architectural feature, but what does that comment mean? Remove them for approval and we can put them up after, or I guess I just want to get to the understanding, because that's again part of their branding, if you will, is that all their buildings have this false facade of these orange doors on them. So I guess if that could be elaborated on regarding the decorative doors and what that comment meant about remove them.
If I may, this was discussed, though, those orange last time? Does any board remember that?
Yeah, I do, Jamie, but they were inside.
These up here.
The
you're
ones up
thinking-
above are actually inside. They're not
Right.
outside.
Right.
And there was specific discussion about that back
Yeah,
a
there
few years
was.
ago.
Those ones on the south facade are decorative as well. They don't open, there's no drive aisle, there's no way to get to them.
Yeah, they are merely decorative. So I guess that could be, we could go back to U-Haul and see what they have to say about changing that.
So the other thing I'd like to ask you to do is.
Leif, did you have a
look at the-
comment?
Well, so hold on, but one thing I'd also like to ask you to do is to go back to the last approval. And look at the building elevations. I'm not entirely sure that those orange doors were approved previously.
Right, that's what my comment was gonna be. Were they really on there? Because that's something we're not gonna normally just do.
I
They have
think you're
orange doors.
correct. I don't think those were on there. It was only those inside ones.
All of it. Yeah. All
This
right.
just goes back
Is-
to the multi-colors and multi-elements smattered all over the building, making it very discontinuous in its image to the public.
Yeah.
I
Mm.
looked at the prior approval last week. I don't recall seeing those on the prior approval,
Is
so
that part of that set of drawings we were looking at that Leah could
Yes.
also send us, please, just so we have the most up-to-date copy of what was in your files?
yes,
Okay,
they were in that group.
okay.
If you were allowed to paint the front of the building with the U-Haul name on it, would you be painting it that August moon color again? To match the two sides? I'm talking about the front facade, the old building.
This component of it here?
Yeah,
The stone, the cast stone.
is that what you're saying? You got the problem with the mildew?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, most likely that's probably all the board will allow us to paint it. We would not be able to introduce another color there.
Okay, I'm not saying we need to discuss it, but I just
Understood.
wanted to know what color you were thinking in case we.
Yeah, I'm assuming that would be the recommendation, just to, again, not to add another color to that corner.
Definitely, thank you.
I would agree with that if we do the painting program.
Yeah,
And in some cases, I would tend to, will suggest or recommend to U-Haul that potentially this gray just be painted the same color as the building wall too. I know they were doing it to kind of define the
That was the-
foundation wall. but-
Yeah,
That
that would be-
foundation wall was that color, so we painted it, we just dressed it up. That's what the color
Yeah, I
was.
think the foundation, I don't have a problem with the foundation. wall
Foundation,
being
it's
gray.
the white zone above it.
Right,
If that was the Harvest Moon matching color, so this is one building image, that would be great. That would be great.
Right, but it would again, to eliminate one of the colors out of the 10, if we were to get rid of the gray and just paint it, if if U-Haul wanted to keep this ultra white, if we were to paint the foundation wall the ultra white to match, I mean, it at least gets rid of one of the colors, gets rid of gray. And and I mean, over here, this would just go to August Moon down here.
Well, on the
I
green
think if you're
staircase,
looking at the foundation inherently is just typically gray. I don't think that's a big
It's not an
issue on
issue.
that side. And the cast stone is existing, it's a material. All the color block in that set of comments was trying to show you is that there's 13 different materials and colors on there,
Sure.
right? So the existing cast stone would likely stay as existing cast stone, and that's, you know, we're looking at that. The foundation is gray. People think of concrete foundations as gray. Like, I don't see that as an issue. It's when you get into having the ultra white, the August Moon, the turquoise or aquamarine, the gray galvalume, the brown. I mean, you have like a whole mishmash of colors across the front of this building. You know, if we can pare that down so where it's, you know, August Moon and, you know, the wood or the galvalume, you know, and try and simplify that color scheme, that's where you're gonna be successful. I think right now there's just too much going on and it's not what we typically look for as a board for new building or for renovations to buildings.
Okay, all right, we can further discuss that with U-Haul and see what we can come up with.
What about the raised architectural element on the corner? Just a question. I have no comment on it.
This
as
piece
the
here,
lawyer. Right.
again, not knowing.
That's a question for the board.
It partners with this piece of it on this side too, just to get an understanding of it.
Leif, is that? Just want to make sure there's no comments on that before we send them back to their drawing boards.
Yeah, can you zoom in on it? What's the material on the face of that? Is that a different?
This is the horizontal, this is the horizontal wood grain metal siding that coincides with the kind of you know, ties in with the doors here on this side, and then we do the same thing here on this side of the building as well. Mainly accents the it's what's been put around the windows in this regard, just here. So it's a horizontal concealed fastener metal.
I'm not opposed to that thing because it sort of anchors the other end of the building compared to the older section at the far end, and it's just a modern interpretation of the element. My gut I would like to take that all the way down to the ground instead of the white band underneath it, you know, so there's an anchor, and lose the white is my reaction to all this. And it's just a pile of stuff. And then the signage band piece, you know, is another add-on guy right in the middle there. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, again, if the signage on the south side is not desired, we could always talk about flipping it around to the front, but that just adds more signage to this elevation.
Yeah, I mean, I think in terms of the signage on the north and south sides of the building, you know, we can't approve. That would have to go to ZBA and would have to get a recommendation from this board.
Yeah, understood. Yeah.
The signage on the south, or pardon me, the east side of the building facing Thompson Road.
Yep.
There's conditions in the code, but I'm not entirely sure that we meet all of that for increased signage. So
What's your question, Nate? About that?
Well, what I'm trying to get to is typically it's a sign. Right now, what's being proposed is effectively 3 signs.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know that having 3 signs on that facade is compliant.
The front, on the front elevation.
on the front elevation.
And what are the 3 signs that are
You've
proposed?
got a U-Haul above the main entry, you've got
Yep.
climate self-storage, and you've got another U-Haul at the south side.
So there is a provision, you know, where you can have it increased signage if it's a large building and it's not kind of sufficient in an industrial zone. And the board, it's a board determination. I'm,
Well, so
Would-
this criteria that's in there is if the building's over 50,000 square feet, which it is.
yep,
And then the second criteria states if it can't be accomplished because the location or layout of the facility provides insufficient identification with signage permitted in subsection F3, which points you back to the industrial, which only then says one sign and one monument sign. So I'm not sure that we can have 3 signs along that facade. Currently, and what was previously approved was the single U-Haul sign above the entry.
This one here, yeah.
well, I don't think there's any precedent for that, you know, that advertising of climate controlled self-storage. We're talking mainly about identification. And I don't know that there's any precedent for that kind of signage on Thompson Road. Possibly the other sign at the far end that says U-Haul again. It, you know, it's a fairly large structure. That this is again a determination for this board. But we generally on buildings don't advertise their product, right, which is self-storage. Any comments on that, again, while we're sending them back?
Yeah, I'm just, the only thing I think of, Jamie, is the, you know, on the name in a signage piece in the primary sign, if it's there. I remember we did this way back when with some, I can't remember the project off the top of my head, where the verbiage in the sign, it has to be their legal name, not a product that they offer. It would have
Right.
to be their legal name to have the extra verbiage in there.
Yes, that is the general, how this board has looked at the sign code.
I moved it.
And I think it'd be, I don't know if Nate, Wes, if you have control, Doug just sent around the previous approval elevations.
Yep.
I think it'd be wise to throw those on the screen and see what the difference is from what we did look at and approve after the last go round. And this one to show the extent of the differences.
Leif, I don't know if you can share, because nobody else is logged into the meeting here. Well, I
Okay,
mean,
let me see if I can pull it up on my side email stream here. Hang on.
somebody logged in. Yeah, if you're logged in, you can pull it up.
Yeah, let me I should get it here. Let me clear the search box. And download it. Here we go. Come on. Open file. Okay, I got it up. Let me jump back into Zoom here and
Nate, I gotta jump, so I'll see you Thursday.
Thanks, Joe.
Thursday. Thanks.
See you, Joe.
Yep, thanks, Doug. Yep.
so I should be up.
Yep.
So here in summary, you can see the uniformity of the color palette, you know, letting the doors be an element that reads along with that old window band, which could be, you know, something else now, but and the color plays off the concept of the lighter concrete precast, what I call the historic element of the building, the only thing of value on this thing. And And then it had some simple banding of signage on there, but using the doors as a primary theming element versus slap in the face color palette.
Excuse me, Leif, I do see that there's that Harlequin design, and that was specifically in the approval not permitted, just so you know,
Yeah, I kind of
in
scanned
the
over that.
verbal.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Yeah, it's just for tonality here. We're
Right.
trying to get the building to feel like it's one building versus a series of differently painted additions.
Also to show that I don't think any of those orange doors, were approved or shown on previous approvals.
Right.
I don't believe this is the final though, because we did a ZBA on that north sign, the U-Haul that's on the stone edge. This cast stone.
Yeah.
Over the ramp, there's a sign that was approved through the ZBA that matched that east elevation sign that's existing.
Gotcha. I'm just trying to see what's here. This was whenever this was sent in here, or whatever Doug pulled it up. So
Who was that who just was talking, Dave, or who has that ZBA approval? Can you send it over?
I don't.
That was Brett, the representative from U-Haul.
Lee and Doug are gonna look back and see if they can pull
Yeah.
the approved set.
I had everything, Jamie, on my old computer, and they thought they needed to give me a new one.
But that we're having, to be true, truthful, we're having the same problem at the town. That's,
Yep.
they took our whole portal, moved it, and we can't find half the stuff,
Yeah,
so.
they said, "Oh,
Yeah,
we'll
I
put it
still,
all
I
on
still can't get in the
OneDrive."
portal.
They said, "Oh, we'll put it all on the OneDrive for you," and I cannot find anything on there that I need. So
This sounds so-
I
this
had
sounds
it all.
so clear.
uh,
But this just goes to intent. When I squint at this drawing, I see
Right.
a homogeneous building that's working together to be one facility. And I look at the new one, I see a lot of stripes and bands and plunks and materiality changes. And I can get behind the materiality change on the ends, I guess, if they become stronger elements that are not just plopped up high, because to me, they read as signboards. And then my gut's going to say, I'm going to call it a signboard, the entire thing. And I don't think you want me going there, because that's going to become something I can't get behind because it's way too big. If I said that clear enough. Is Jenny still on? She's
Yeah.
usually jumps
I
in.
No.
understand. what you're saying.
No, Jenny had to jump
Guys, I
off as
think
well.
Okay. And I've got literally 2 minutes left too, guys. I gotta get to Utica by 10.
Okay, so that covers signage on the east. The signage on the north is in the same boat as the signage on the south. None of that signage would be approvable. Would have to get a recommendation from this board to go to ZBA
on the north side,
on the north side.
because the north side basically is existing signage. We didn't add anything. We just moved it around.
Well,
We
where
took
it
down
is,
the paint.
is the size the
Well,
same?
Well, I mean, that's what I'm wondering, because if this drawing that's on the screen is not the one that was approved, because there are, moving supplies and hitches is the same. But quite frankly, everything else would approve to be new between the two elevations, but it seems as though something's amiss here with this drawing on the screen, because yeah, there was quite a bit more signage on this north side that is existing than this drawing shows.
So that's.
So I guess we need to see if
we
that
need to
was
go and
approved.
look at it.
We'll look at the ZBA.
Yep. This could be prior to that.
Yeah,
Right.
you're even missing the sign that's on the precast. Yes, that area there.
Out there, yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we identified that was a ZBA approved sign there, but
Right.
so what I think we'll do is we'll get that approved set of drawings, so we'll be able to do a side by side on that one.
Right.
If it is existing, pulling off the hitches and trailers sign, repainting it and relocating it. We'll look at that.
Okay.
Okay, so you got signage, we got that one covered. Notes are in there. It was pretty
There was
much,
yeah, that was the last question was, will the standing seam roof by customer entrance remain green? I'm not entirely sure. Brett, is there a component there that has a standing seam roof on it that's green? Is it the small little out?
yeah, it's like that little bump out to the right of the customer entrance.
Yes. Okay, that must have a standing seam roof on it. I thought it was actually a rubber roof, but I was looking at some existing photos, but I can't tell enough from that, so.
So I was just looking at that. So I think the biggest comment and driver, certainly signage is a big one. You know, the building's got a lot of signage on it. So getting that addressed, even things like, you know, anything that might be screwed to the building now, anything that's on the inside of those windows by the storage units, that's window signage. You know, making sure you're cleaning any of that stuff up, that'll all be provisions as part of this. But then just simplifying the color palette, the material palette, dealing with the site, location for those storage units. We're gonna go back and look at the previous approvals. I think you should, once we get them, we'll share them with you as well so that you have them. But
Yeah.
things like those applique doors, the big doors that are on there, those are gonna need to be addressed. You know, if they're not there now, you're now asking this board to review and approve them. They were not previously approved. So we got some of those things to do. We got a little bit of work to do. We'll have you on for the 28th. Is that what you said? All right, I get all my dates wrong. Yeah, the 28th.
Okay,
So in the next day or so, Leah and Doug will pull that material and send it around to everyone. I would highly recommend that, you know, this become an effort to get anything cleaned up and addressed in the next couple of days after that, so that we can get a set for this board to look at ahead of the meeting.
okay,
And if we want to get out of here on the 28th, you know, you can have another conversation if you have updates and you want to get those to us, or talk about any further approval, recommendations and things that we need. I would say don't show any signage that is not going to be approvable at this point, and then you'd have to get a
Yep.
signed recommendation to go to ZBA. But if you don't want to hold up approvals, don't show any signage that's not approvable.
right. Yeah, just so we can get approved by planning board to continue with the construction component of it, and then we can address the signage as a different submission, if anything.
Correct.
Is that what you're, yeah,
Yeah,
okay,
it's smoothest way through.
yep.
Yep.
Okay,
You all set?
yeah, the only other thing, housekeeping thing, was on this agenda thing, it did say update. Are we in update, or are we more in a concept preliminary stage?
You'd be more, you've already done concept, you'd be in preliminary at this point.
That's what we thought. We thought this might have been a copy paste, because there's something about wide waters clearing permit, so I'm not sure what that one is, but.
Yeah. No, that's just for this workshop agenda. We give that to applicants that are coming here to the workshop agenda. It might have a topic that this board needs to discuss as well on it.
Okay,
But yeah, it will be updated. So when you get the agenda for the 28th, it will show you as preliminary on there.
okay,
So we'll have an updated package conversation at that meeting. You know, and we'll see where we can get to from there.
okay, all right. Okay, I
All
think
right.
we're all set.
right. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
See you.
Thank you, guys. Is
Yep, bye.
there anything else that we need to go over? I mean, there's the wide waters tree clearing, but do we need to discuss that right now? I guess. No real trees on the site. I don't know what we're. necessarily looking at,
Matt's
but-
working on it.
Okay.
Marco.
Any other projects upcoming that have issues that we need to look at in the next work session or two. We didn't know where the storage facility on Kirkville is kind of still sitting out there, but that's out there until they get resolution on the clearing, the illegal clearing.
There may be some movement on, I did get a call Friday from, Robert Trafford on New Venture here
Okay,
on the freezer.
yep,
He said Matt's gonna be reaching out to me,
okay,
but I haven't heard anything from Matt, so.
okay.
There also is, I believe there's a meeting today. I'm not supposed to tell you that it's, manufacturing of solar panels. But Osida has brought in a manufacturer for that site potentially. And Robert said it would be inside the existing building. But they've got a big dog and pony show going on. Got all day today, just so you're.
Okay,
I don't think it impacts anything from us at this point. It may not even happen.
and then I saw late yesterday, but I have not gone through it, anything on Chick-fil-A and the signage?
Oh, yeah, so,
Give me an update on.
yeah,
that.
Joe Juco called, he said he wanted to change the sign. He was able to save Grazi $12,000 by changing the sign. So I told him he had to come in and do an amended site plan. Then that started the whole ball rolling, and Rob Seeley said, we're not changing the sign, we just want to get a final approval because there was a condition before they went to build that sign that they had to come in and get approval. So, we'll probably put him on the next meeting to come in and talk about the sign.
Please don't put them on for this one.
No. But to that point, I took the opportunity, Jamie, to also say, hey, where do we stand with the DOT? So, there was an email that went out from Rob Seeley to Doug Stansberry, and I didn't hear anything back. Yeah, I'm sure I will. As soon as I hear something, I'll let you know.
Okay,
I believe we got a call yesterday from Ciati. It precedes my involvement, but I remember seeing a file on Ciati, probably 4 or 5 years old. He wanted to revisit the project, so we told him he had to submit a new application, so
that's forthcoming.
yeah, that would be on Badgley Road, I'm assuming.
Okay,
Because that's where he owns most of his property. It's industrial, so it's probably a permitted use.
okay.
Real quick, on newer projects, if there's ZBA, do they show up in the planning board portal?
How do you mean? What, I don't understand your question.
Right, so like someone needs a variance, a setback, a sign. So like the problem we have at U-Haul is we went into the old portal and there was nothing about ZBA in there. Now for projects going forward, if there's ZBA involved, how does it get, like there shouldn't be a separate file for ZBA. It needs to be merged with the final approval. The planning
Good
board.
point. Because here's the other thing that came up yesterday too.
Or we can
Along
let everybody go. I mean, this is an internal thing. If you guys want to stay on.
Yeah, here's the other thing that came up yesterday, Jamie. There's a gentleman and he came in, maybe I talked to you about this, I forget. He's over on. Yeah.